Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today I am going to be talking to you about all of the books that I have read in September. So the first books that I will start with, these are the books that I chose with my prompts from my knife throwing game for my September TBR. And I didn't quite read them all. I did not finish Gone Girl or Lessons in Chemistry. I tried starting them and neither one were just what I was in the mood for. The way that Gone Girl started, there was just something about the writing style that I didn't quite get on board with right away. So I just put it aside and moved on to something else, and then I just never went back to it. So I will put this one back on the shelf. Hopefully I'll get to it another time. But this one, it just got away from me. And then Lessons in Chemistry, in the very first page, chapter 1, it says, most young children can't read, and if they can, it's mostly words like dog and go, but Madeline has been reading since age 3, and now, at age 5, was already through most of Dickens. And my first thought when I read that was, are you serious? I have a 5-year-old, and he is so far from reading anything anywhere near like Charles Dickens that it just didn't seem very possible to me. And I mean, there's some amazingly gifted children that are really great readers, but it just seemed really far-fetched. Another thing was, I guess it was chapter 3. It was talking about her meeting Calvin, it says, and it was talking about him being a rower, like that he rowed like boats. And it said it, I swear, it said it 20 times or more on these 2 pages. And I underlined them all because it was just, I couldn't get over it. It said rowing so many times. And at that point, I just had to close the book and stop reading. So I might try and go back to this one. But the way that it started out, I just had no interest whatsoever in this book. And I just couldn't bring myself to want to pick it back up after reading those first like 20 or so pages. So, did not finish this one. Now let's get into the books that I actually read. So the very first book that I read this month was called My Fair Latte by Vicky Fee. And this one is a cozy mystery that revolves around Hallie Greer, who inherits a rundown old movie theater from her uncle who has passed away. Now, her mother and her uncle didn't have a very good relationship. Something happened years and years ago that caused them to lose contact. And so she didn't know her uncle. She met him when she was like tiny. But she doesn't remember anything about him because of the circumstances. She just didn't know him. But he left her his movie theater, and so she moves to the small town, Utopia Springs, Arkansas, and moves into the apartment above the movie theater after he passes away and decides that she is going to renovate it and try and get it up and running again. And then on our opening night, during the intermission of, I believe it was My Fair Lady, was the first movie that she was going to show in her movie theater, because she wanted it to be kind of like an old style, showing old movies. Someone in the movie theater at the intermission was found dead. And this whole book is about her and the friends that she makes in this small town, going around and kind of doing their own investigation of trying to figure out who it was that was murdered and why and how it happened. I believe that I gave it 3, maybe 4 stars. I can't totally remember. It was good. It was fine. It just seemed too easy, which I know that's like the huge thing with the cozy mysteries. And maybe this is just because it wasn't kind of the vibes that I was looking for at the beginning of the month. I was hoping for something a little bit better. But it was really fun to catch all of her movie references. She talks about Audrey Hepburn. She talks about Clark Gable in passing. And I don't remember even who else off the top of my head. But all the old movie references were really fun. Especially being one that I used to watch old movies with my mom all the time. So Doris Day, Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, all of them are just, they're iconic. So this one was a lot of fun. Like I said, I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars. So that was the first one that I finished. And then after that, I kind of lose track of what order I read these in. The next one that I'm going to talk about is The Horoscope Writer by Ash Bishop. This one was a kind of mystery thriller that is about a man who used to be an Olympic swimmer, and now that he has retired from swimming and the Olympics and everything, he's trying to find a job. And he goes into a paper and he gets just kind of a shit job, really, writing the horoscopes for this newspaper. And when he starts, the guy that runs it tells him that you're basically just hooking yourself up to a sinking ship here, because everybody does stuff online now. Nobody really gets the papers anymore. But then he starts he gets an email that is about a horoscope, and it says you either print this horoscope and one person or one of the horoscopes will come true, or you don't print them and all of them will come true. So he blows it off thinking that it's, nothing to really worry about, that it's not really true. And then things start happening that seem to have a connection with what was in those horoscopes. They are trying to figure out who is sending these horoscopes and what is going on and all that. So this one I gave 4 stars. The writing was fine. It was really intriguing, but I felt like it kind of dawdled a little bit. And then the end of it wasn't really much. I didn't feel like it was very much of a surprise. It was kind of like obvious in a way the entire time. So not the best one that I read, but it wasn't bad. I did enjoy the writing enough that I would consider absolutely picking up another one from this author. But it just wasn't my favorite. I feel like it's a little bit forgettable, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else would feel that way after reading this one, but like I said, it wasn't a bad book. I just feel like it was a little bit forgettable. Okay, I think the next ones that I'm going to talk about briefly, because I already have talked about them in one of my blogs, which is my Second Chance vlog, which is Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones, and The Horsemen by Christina Henry. I gave this one 2 stars. Wasn't quite for me. It's just a novella. Wasn't for me. I don't think Stephen Graham Jones writing is really my kind of thing. It's just a little bit clipped, and I just didn't get on with his writing very well. So 2 stars for that one. And then Horsemen I gave 4 stars. This one was a lot of fun. At times, to me, it did read a lot like a YA book, there isn't anything wrong with that. I think I've just kind of moved away from those so much that I'm having a little bit harder of a time getting into the YA and really, really enjoying them as much. Some things did get a bit repetitive. Her always saying, I am a boy, I want to be seen as a boy, I'm not a girl, I am a boy. And then also with her talking about her best friend and how he is her best friend and her only friend. So things got a little bit repetitive. It did come off a bit YA to me, but that's also because she is 14 or 15, I think, throughout this book. So overall, it was really good. I gave it 4 stars, but it just wasn't 100% my new favorite book. The next book that I read was 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. This book was kind of a roller coaster for me. So the beginning of this book, I was intrigued, but I wasn't sure about it because it starts off that she is talking about how when she was 6 years old, she finds a doorway and she goes through that doorway and has she can see a city down below and there's like a beach and stuff like that, and then she comes back through, but she never, like, she found a coin when she was there, but she never forgot about this door. And she didn't understand it because she was little, and she didn't understand that there are actually potentially doorways into other worlds. So you can pass through a doorway and find yourself somewhere totally different. And as she gets older, she kind of starts to learn about more connections with that. And then this book just switches gears So you start out with the beginning of the book, you're from the perspective of January, and then it starts intermingling chapters from this 10,000 Doors book that she finds at the house that she is staying with Mr. Locke, and which is her caregiver. And then it starts intermingling like her story in with these other chapters that are from a different point of view. And the way that these chapters start out is like an essay. Somebody that wrote an essay, basically. And it really threw me off. I was not expecting that at all. When it first started, I did not like it at all. But then I kept on reading it just to try it because I really had high hopes for this because this was my 5-star prediction. And the writing was beautiful. It was very lyrical and it was amazing writing. And I was really enjoying that. So I kept going. And then I got to about halfway through and those essays kind of started to turn from a little bit more on the educational side and the research side to a little bit more of like telling a story. So you go back and forth between January, who is learning about these doorways and how they might have a connection with her and with her father and her family. And then you also have this other side of things that are the essays turned to story that at the beginning they don't seem to have any kind of a connection at all. So it's the journey of trying to understand what these doors are and what their significance may be, as well as following this other story. I ended up giving this, it was not a 5-star like I was hoping for, but I did give it 4 stars. Once I kind of figured out what was going on and things started to make a little bit more sense, got a little bit further along in the story, I started to really enjoy it and I thought it was really interesting. I feel like it just took a little bit too long to get there. But like I said, this book was very lyrical and it was really, really interesting once I got to it. And I loved hearing about like the different worlds and the different hardships of trying to travel and trying to learn about them and kind of just learning how things worked. And I like it. Like I said, it was 4 stars. Wasn't quite a 5, but it was 4 and it was really good. So the next 2 that I am going to talk about were for another vlog that I did, and actually there's one more that I included with that that I finished. So technically it would be these 3. The first one being a Spindle Splinter, also by Alex E. Harrow. This one is a Sleeping Beauty retelling that the main character is sick. She has a disease that will eventually kill her. And she has kind of an obsession with Sleeping Beauty and has since she was a kid because she just kind of felt a kindred spirit in Sleeping Beauty. And something happens with her birthday that she travels to an alternate world that is actually following another Sleeping Beauty. And she tries to help out this other girl, her name is Primrose, with trying to kind of how things are going to turn out for her. This one was pretty good. I gave it, I think, 3.5 or 4 stars. It was just another novella. It was pretty short, but it was interesting to read about. It was very different from 10,000 Doors of January. Very, very different vibes. This is very much a historical style, following a younger girl as she grows up in a different time. This one is much more modern, following a young woman. And so this one was interesting. I think, like I said, I think I gave it like 4 stars. The next one that I read for that library catch-up vlog was Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This one I gave 3 stars. It was about a girl who, when she was young, she was out riding her bike, and then she falls through a hole, and when she lands, she finds herself in a giant robotic type hand. And then it's years and years later that she has gotten the okay to do some research on this hand, try and figure out what's going on with it, what it's there for, and everything with that. This one I gave 3 stars. It was very interesting and I was very intrigued. However, I didn't feel like it went really anywhere. It was about putting up, pieces of this robot together and trying to learn about it and figure out what was going on. But you kind of, it's just the whole journey of looking at that. And then the way that this book ended just really, really fell flat for me. I did not care. I was very irritated with it because I was really interested and I wanted it to like really pick up and go somewhere, and then it just kind of didn't. And I know this one is part of a series. There are, I believe, 3 books in the series, but the way that this book ended, I don't have any interest in picking up the next one. So I would love to hear your opinion. If you think that it is worth going on and continuing the series, please let me know, because I would, I'd be willing to try it out, but I just wasn't super thrilled with how this one went. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. It's written really interesting, that it's like interviews and journal entries. So that's really interesting, and it was a fast read. However, I feel like it really fell flat towards the end of this book. Okay, and then the last one that I read for that vlog, which was also one of the 6 that I chose for my prompts this month, was His and Hers by Alice Feeney. This one was my library recommended for one of them that I had requested them to recommend me a handful of books. This was one of them that they sent me. This one is a thriller about a girl who is found in the woods, has been murdered, and it's about 2 different perspectives, a now divorced husband and wife who had connections with this girl that was found murdered, and it's trying to figure out what happened, learning the history of how they knew each other and all of that. I did talk about it more in that one, so I'm not going to go into it too much. This one I gave, I think, 4 stars. This one was good. I did really like it. When I did get to the ending, though, I was sort of surprised, but at the same time, I felt like it was almost unrealistic. It was like everything kind of worked itself out, and then Alice Feeney like throws a wrench in it, like, ooh, let's really try and freak you out and make it seem weird. But it's a little bit, it's a little bit unrealistic. And I would love to know if anybody else thought that as well, that they just thought it was kind of odd the way that she ended it, like just trying to really throw in like one last big reveal that, it almost, like I said, it just didn't seem like it really fit. So I gave this one 4 stars. I think I might be kind of talking myself down just a little bit, into like a 3.5. Either way, this one wasn't bad. I would like to try some more from her. I do have my eye out for Rock, Paper, Scissors, if I can find that one, because I am very intrigued to try it, and I would like to try another one just to see if maybe it was just the writing style of this one that didn't quite sit as well for me. But I would like to try more, and I would love to hear your opinions if there's any favorites of Alice Feeney's that you have. If you kind of maybe feel the same way that I do, and I would absolutely love to hear if you had the same reaction as I did to the ending of this book and that last little reveal. Okay, so the very last book, I actually finished this on Saturday the 30th, the last day of September, and that was Ruin by John Gwynne. This is the 3rd book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. This book, I can't tell you anything about it. It's just amazing. I gave it 5 stars. It was an easy 5 stars. This book is intriguing. The magic system, the giants, the relationships, the characters, just all of it is so good. It is amazing. And I absolutely love these books. The ending of this book, his books in this series, they all pick up like directly after the other one left off. So you could just immediately want to pick up the next one. And that is actually exactly what I did with this. I read the very last page, and I immediately had to go and grab the 4th one off of my shelf because I needed to know what happened next and what happened with the characters after the end of this book. So I immediately grabbed the next one, and I've already started it because I just couldn't help myself. So it's not part of my TBR, but I have actually added in Wrath, which is the 4th book, onto my stack for this month because I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait to pick it up again. So I had, let's see, 1 5-star read this month. a handful of 4s, a handful of 3s, and I think 1, maybe 2 stars. So I had kind of a little bit of a mix and match. I read 9 books this month altogether. Some of them were library books, some of them were books that I own. Like I said, I had kind of a mixture of ones that I loved, ones that I could have lived without. But either way, it was a lot of fun, and I think this is the most books I have ever read in a single month. So that's really exciting. So this is the stack of books that I read in September. Like I said, this one was a 5-star. This one was a 4-star, a 4-star, a 2-star, I think a 4-star, 3-star, 4-star, 3-star, and a 4-star, if I remember correctly. So it was definitely a lot of fun. I got a couple of novellas in there and some longer books. Ruin is like 750 pages long, so definitely a chunker. But it was a lot of fun, and I am so excited. If you haven't watched it yet, please check out my October TBR, my spooky knife throwing prompts. So that one looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I just started reading my first book for that. If you have any suggestions or comments or anything like that, please feel free to leave those. If you felt the same way about any of these books, or if you have any recommendations for me at all of other Alice Feeney books or anything else that you think that I might like, please feel free to leave that below. Also, please feel free to like and subscribe. I have my Instagram and my Amazon wishlist in the description box if you feel so inclined to follow me there or anything like that. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! And actually, I thought that while I was doing this, I would also throw in my little book haul for September. This is Athena. She's our little English Bulldog Pit Bull mix. She's kind of our little baby, or our first baby. But I thought I would throw in a little miniature book haul of the books that I got in September as well. So the first book that I got was an old copy of The Jungle Book, ignore the sticker, by Rudyard Kipling. I've never read this before, but I thought it would be a lot of fun, maybe something that I can read with my kids. Got this one at a library sale for like $0.25. I also got, for the same reason, I got the Swiss Family Robinson by Johann David Weiss. Also another old, like 80s copy. Okay, this one came out in this copy came out in 1996. Says it's a first edition tour, so that's kind of fun. And then The Jungle Book, this one came out in 1980. So I got both of these at that library sale. And then I also got The Children of Hurin by J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by Christopher Tolkien, I believe his son. I have read The Hobbit. I still need to finish reading the rest of the Lord of the Rings books, but I got this one because I thought it might be kind of fun for me and my husband to read. It's got a whole bunch of beautiful artwork and stuff in it, like that. Sorry, the glare. And I just thought it would be kind of a fun one to add to our collection. The next book that I got, like I said, in my October TBR, I got my sister and I a copy of A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This one, I know a whole lot about it, except that it's supposed to have the same kind of vibes as House in the Cerulean Sea, which is really all I needed to know about it, and I am very excited to pick this up this month. The next one that I bought the same day as that one was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This one also looks like it'll be a lot of fun, kind of a fantasy, heroes and villains kind of fantasy, but it also kind of reminds me, I don't know if anybody ever saw it, that movie, it was a cartoon that's called Igor. It kind of gave me the vibes of that one, and I think I loved that movie, so I think that's part of the reason why I'm so excited to read this one. But I am also going to be reading this one in October, so I'm very excited for that. The next book that actually my sister sent to me as a belated birthday present was Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. She has read from him, and she absolutely loved this book. I've told her that I would like to try some of Sanderson's work, but it always is kind of intimidating because most of his books that you see, they're like humongous. But they're very intimidating to me, and I didn't really know where to start. So she sent me this one, so that way I would have one to start with and see how I liked it, and then maybe be able to pick up some more. I also got my own copy of Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. Now, I read this one, I think it was in July, and this was hands down a 5-star read. I loved this book. This book was about a ship in space that they're kind of coming to the end of their rope, that they're gonna be transferred or losing their jobs, and are on their kind of last mission in space, and they come across an abandoned luxury ship that is basically like a cruise ship for space that disappeared about 20 years prior, and nobody knows what happened to it. And so they go on and they try and investigate what happened on this ship and what happened to the people that disappeared on it. I absolutely love this book. I am so excited to have my own copy of it. I already made my husband read it because I thought it was amazing. The next book that I got was The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, and this is by Roshani Chokshi. I don't really remember a whole lot of what this one is about. It sounded really intriguing, and it has a beautiful cover on it. And I'm very excited to try it out. I've heard some good things on it from BookTube and other BookTubers. So I'm very intrigued to try this one, and I can't wait to get that one on my TBR. And then another fantasy, because my husband and I both like all the fantasy books, that I got is A Plague of Giants by Kevin Hearn. And look how cool this cover is. It's just so Viking-esque. It just looks awesome. And this one, it says, author Kevin Hearn remade world mythology with the Iron Druid Chronicles. Now in the thrilling start to an enchanting new fantasy series, this gifted writer creates his own mythology, complete with shape-shifting bards, fire-wielding giants, and children who could speak to astonishing beasts. And really, that's all I need to know. You get giants and magic and fantasy worlds. Like, it sounds so good, and I'm so excited to pick this up. I believe that there are 2 or 3 books in the series for this right now, but this is just the first one. I do have my eye on the second one because there is a beautiful cover for that one that I have my eye on. And that's it. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed my videos and would like to see more from me. I would love to have you, and I would love to hear from you. And hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.